Hi, welcome, Dawn here. What I've got for you today is a little something that I like to use after I've been sitting for a period of time, so sitting working on the computer or after being in a car, just to kind of re-establish the connection between the legs, the pelvis, and the spine and torso. This has also been a place that I've explored in classes because with something like bridge pose, I noticed that a lot of people aren't actually utilizing the connection of the legs and the pelvis and working using the legs in order to lift up into bridge. They're bracing through their spine or holding their breath or leveraging off their shoulders. So this can be a way to bring about a lot more fluidity and ease in your bridge pose as well. So you'll need a block and strap potentially, if I just have them nearby, and then you're just going to come on down onto your back on the floor. So take a second once you're on your back just to notice how it feels to be on your back. So notice the pieces of you that are in contact with the ground. Okay, so notice the feet on the floor, mound of the big toe, mound of the pinky, center of the heel. Notice the pelvis and the weight of the pelvis where it's being taken, how the sacrum feels, that bony triangle bit that's in contact with the floor. Notice the back ribs and the shoulder blades, the arms and the back of the head. And then also take a moment to feel the spaces between you and the floor. So the space where the toes meet the forefoot, the space between the backs of the legs and the ground, the space between the waist and the floor, the space of the neck and the floor. And then what I'm going to invite you to do is start to press your feet into the floor, and you'll notice that as you do that, you'll just notice what you notice. So as you press the feet on the floor, you might feel the pelvis tip or tilt, okay? So as you press the feet into the floor, you might notice that the pelvis, as you press the feet, the pelvis and pubic bone come towards your nose. Someone else might notice as they press through the feet, they actually leverage with their shoulders or the back of the head, and the back arches more, or the pubic bone moves towards the floor. So if you're noticing either of those happen as you press into the legs and the pelvis starts to get lighter, you're only going to press as much as that doesn't happen. So you'll just kind of press and release, press and release. And bring your fingers to your hip crease and actually start to help yourself get that connection that when you're pressing the foot into the floor, it's a movement of the leg in the pelvis. So if the floor wasn't there, right, if my foot was here and I was bringing my leg to the ground, that's a movement of my leg in the pelvis. So as I'm pressing into the floor, it's a movement of my leg bone in my pelvis. But if the pelvis is moving, then you're moving the pelvis on the leg bones using the spine, which in something like bridge, we want the power to come from the legs, and something like wheel, we want that to come from the strength of the legs, not through loading the spine that way. So if you notice that the pubic bone, and a way that you can do that is to actually just bring your hands onto your pubic bone so that as you press, you can feel, is there just a natural movement for you right now of the pubis bone into towards the fingers or away from the fingers. Okay, and if there is, place a block between your thighs and a strap around your legs. And the block's just to fill whatever the space is for you. So the block might be thinner or thicker than mine. It might be a rolled towel if you don't have a block. And then a strap, just so that the legs, or the front of the hip flexors can relax a little bit with the support of the block and the strap. The other thing is that if as you press into the feet you notice that the knees want to move out or the knees want to move in, then you'll also want to offer yourself this support. And then you'll start to press into the feet. Notice if the support of the block and the strap offer movement to happen of the legs and the pelvis, with the pelvis being able to stay quiet as you lift and lower. Okay? If they don't, then again it's just too much load right now, and so you're just going to continue to play with pressing. You might do one leg at a time. See if you notice a difference as you press each foot into the floor. Where you're feeling that connection. Okay, and then bring the hands to the bottom of the ribs and the top of the pelvis. You'll start to press through the feet and the hips will lift up. And you'll notice as you lift and lower here, is the pelvis and the rib cage moving synchronously? Or if then as you start to lower, does the pelvis go first and then the ribs come down? And can you lift and lower in a range where those two move synchronously together? Okay, you're pressing through the legs. Low back, sacrum area shouldn't be talking to you here. Okay, and just kind of notice how that is for you. And then I like to finish by taking off the strap and taking out the block. And then coming on up to standing, feet forward, down from the hips. So from here where you're feeling the weight through the pelvis, then you just start to slide down to the point where you feel the whole leg. And then from here, you might just take 3 to 5 breaths, just feeling the whole of both legs. I might do some de-weighting, which is simply pressing and bringing more weight into the right leg and then over into the left. And just going back and forth a few times, only bringing as much weight into each leg as the pelvis doesn't shift, that the torso doesn't shift, that the breath doesn't hold. Okay, feeling the 3 points of each foot. And then if I was de-weighting once I'm even on both sides, come on up and just notice how you feel in standing. And that can be a great way to just start to get a little bit more work happening in the legs and more improve the connection between the legs and the pelvis and the spine up into the rib cage and the shoulders. So you have a really nice ability to kind of transfer that load from the legs on up and then from the upper body on back down, which is really important when we're running, when we're skiing. You know, most activities we need to have that fluidity of load transfer and dissipation through the body. So and once we've been sitting for a while, that's a way to bring that back in and just enliven and wake it up again. So have fun playing with those. Love to hear what you notice, what other curiosities are sparked, and if you've got any comments for me about what you find with those, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me at dawnross.ca. You can find more movement videos under Grow Your Practice on my website, and please, please, please know that with awareness and with ease, change is always possible and life-changing. Thanks so much for joining me. Namaste.